Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Curiosity Orbit for December 2025. This is, of course, the monthly show where we go over all the latest news in the world of astronomy and astrophotography. But as always, before we dive into the news, I have some thank yous, and I need to say thank you to Wizard 1986 who joined as a new member this month. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. And in case you don't know, I have a member system on YouTube where you can join and you then get some badges or like some cosmetic stuff. You can also get access to a wallpaper library with some cool astro images you can use for your as wallpapers if you want to. And as of course, there's also discount codes for the merch store, so you can get merchandise, you can get the Cosmic Field Guide at a discount. All that is if you click the join button below. But with that out of the way, let's dive into the news. And also, by the way, guys, I think I've solved last month. I had some clicking noise issues with the microphone. I'm pretty sure that it's solved. If you hear anything, then let me know, because I was testing it before the live stream and everything was working. So if it's an issue that only occurs when I'm live streaming, then I have a problem. But I hope the sound is a lot better than it was last time. Sounds all good. Thank you very much. Okay, that's good to hear. So let's just jump right into the first topic of the. I'll just find the right buttons. There's too many buttons. Okay, so Sky and Telescope has an article about the first private space telescope has been launched, and this is kind of a big deal. Not that a private company has put a space telescope into orbit. I mean, sure, that's really cool, but I think what their plans with it makes it a rather big deal. Okay, so the telescope was launched on Friday, the 28th of November, so that's just a few days ago. And it's called MAUV, I think. It's a small CubeSat type satellite with, of course, an onboard telescope, and it's going to primarily operate in the visual and ultraviolet spectrum. Of course, the ultraviolet because it's a more difficult thing to see down here from Earth. But here's the cool thing about it. As you can see here, the idea with this space telescope is that it's going to be a like a subscription service for researchers, so for scientists and stuff like that. And the way they are planning to use this is that the telescope is going to take measurements, and I think you might be able to request specific targets as well. But the data is going to be made available to the subscriber base for the telescope. So you subscribe to all the data that you get from this telescope. So all of a sudden, you get access to space-based telescopes as a subscription service. Everything's a subscription service nowadays. Of course, we've seen similar things here on Earth, where, of course, we have telescopes where first it was just, researchers, scientists that could go and rent time on bigger telescopes, and they could get observation hours, and they could take pictures. And then slowly, of course, those technology became available to the general public, whereas we today can go out and rent very, very big and expensive telescopes in like premium locations, and you can, for relatively cheap, rent observation time. So this is why I think this is a big deal, because I'm pretty sure that in the future, this is the kind of stuff that's probably also going to be made available to the general public, where like interested astronomers or astrophotographers can go and rent time on a satellite, take pictures, get their images down, and then process them if they want to. I think that's extremely cool, and I hope it's something that's going to evolve. In the article, they describe how at the moment, of course, we do have Hubble that kind of also covers the visual part of the spectrum. But again, there are way too many requests for observation time compared to how many observation time the telescope can actually deliver. So therefore, it is a undersaturated market, it seems. So I think they kind of hit it on the nail here with something quite unique. It's a UK-based company called Blue Skies Space that has launched the satellite, and you can now go and rent. I think so far, I'm not sure if it's opened up to the general public, but they have a whole section here again about the whole subscription-based astronomy, where you can, you subscribe to the telescope, you get access to the data that it takes. In the future, it would be really cool if you could get specific slots for it, or something like that. Let me just see. I did have a link for their page here. We can see a few more images of it. We also have a nice little 3D model down here. We can see the telescope in there. It looks like a kind of, is it an RC maybe? I'm not sure. Because it looks like we definitely have like the main mirror in there, then the secondary mirror out there sitting in some kind of spider. It's a 13 centimeter, that's a 5-inch telescope, so it's rather small. But again, you get probably the best seeing conditions you can. There's no atmosphere, there's no light pollution. It's just perfect, clear shot, no atmosphere, everything is perfect. So quite interesting, and there's definitely something I'm going to be keeping an eye on in the future, just to see how this evolves. I'm not expecting that like we're going to be able to, as private individuals, to go out and rent time and stuff like this, like in the near future. But give it 5 or 10 years, and maybe people are beginning to open this up to the private sector as well, or to like the consumer market as well. They built the entire thing on a CubeSat platform. It's a 16U size satellite. You can see it was actually rather like 18.6 kilograms was the total satellite mass. I mean, I have I have setups that weighs more than that. So anyway, really, really cool, and an interesting direction, as I think it's the first time we're actually seeing a company offering something like this as a subscription base out to the general public, or to researchers. Okay, let's me get the next section here, because there has been a lot of stuff happening in the gear and software department this month. And we are going to start with Cyril. Cyril has, on the 20th of November, they launched the 1.4.0. So they've been working on this 1.4 update for quite a while now, and I think they're getting towards the end, and we're going to see a release of it very, very soon. At least that's what they're saying in the article. But what is more interesting, I think, or might be interesting for some of you guys out there, is the fact that they are dropping support for macOS anything less than version 13. So that is being dropped now, and that's coming in this update. So if you have an older Mac, you're not going to be able to get this update for Cyril. And they also mentioned here, where was it? Here, considering dropping Intel Mac support. They are also considering to completely drop support for all Mac OS computers that runs a Intel CPU. So if you're not following the tech space, a few years back, or some years back now, Macintosh, or Apple as they're called today, completely swapped over all their PCs to what happened there? There we go. Swapped over all their PCs from running with Intel CPUs over to their own like M1, M2, M3 ARM-based processors. They completely changed the underlying architecture that compared to what they had with Intel, over to now this ARM architecture, which is the same architecture that runs on your phone. And that means that you need to now make the software compatible with two different versions, as these older Intel-based Macs are getting older and older, and they're going to be further and further between people actually still having them. I can see why a software developer is going to begin to consider if it's worth the effort to still make sure that your program is going to be compatible with these older versions of macOS. So if you are running on a Mac and you're using Cyril, if you have a newer Mac, I should say, if you have anything that has an M whatever processor in it, you're good. You're not going to lose support. It's only for really, really older computers that they're beginning to drop support. So I don't think that they're going to drop Mac support altogether. That's the vibe that I'm getting from them at all. It's just that they're dropping the older versions. That's getting quite old now. But again, we've seen these computers run for quite a few years, so who knows? Anyway, that was that. Don't think there was a lot other in this. There was some minor fixes. It's really like small. You can see this is pretty much like this is what the update contained. So like small crashes, fixed for some memory allocation issues. It's really just the fine details that they're ironing out now. As they also say that that this RC2 update should be the final step before publication of a stable 1.40 release. Exactly when, I don't think they say it, but at least now that should be really, really close for a stable 1.4 release. Good. Gear. Loads and loads of new gear has also come out, and we're going to talk about it now. First, if I could get my screen correct here, we go. We have, this is Scope Trader, by the way, an article over there. We have a new mount coming out. This was the EZT Astro has made a new harmonic drive mount. I was really in doubt whether I should include it because there's nothing extraordinary with this. When I was looking at it, right, you have the same Model 17 and motors in it as we've seen in other mounts. Like it's the same steppers we see in other mounts. It's still like 15 kilograms with the without the counterweight, 25 when you use the balance for a counterweight. Weight classes, all that is pretty much close to the same as we've seen with other similar types of mounts. I haven't really actually looked up the price of this, so maybe it's competitive on price. I don't know. But yeah, I think as far as I can see, it seems pretty clear to me that these harmonic mounts is the way that everything is heading. Like every company is coming out with them now, and I wouldn't be surprised if we are beginning to see, at least for these smaller mounts, that these things are slowly going to begin to take over from the more classic German controller mounts. As they seem, again, they're really light for their carrying capacity. I see a lot of benefits with these. You don't need to balance it. It gives a lot of flexibility, ease of setup, those kind of things. So I can see for consumers, maybe it's going to begin to make its way into the more like heavier mounts, but the reason why I'm not really sure whether that's going to be a thing or if people is going to stick with the German tutorials is that when you get up to these bigger mounts, it's often for more permanent installations. Like I don't think there's a lot of people that locks these like big, massive, huge mounts around every time they want to go out and do astrophotography. So I definitely see these harmonic drive mounts being more popular or staying more popular as these smaller consumer mounts, and I don't necessarily see them beginning in the near future, at least coming up to this observatory grade of mount. But who knows? Maybe. I guess it also depends on how like accurate. If you can get them to track more accurately, then maybe people are going to begin to swap out. But I think the heaviest I've seen, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the heaviest I've seen these mounts can carry without counterweights is up to 30 kilograms, which is quite a lot. But you're not going to run like a plane wave on it. You're probably going to need something a little bit more beefy than that. And maybe that does exist, I just haven't spotted them. But at least from what I've seen, 30 kg seems to be kind of the limit for what people are building these with right now. But who knows, maybe we're going to see a 51 coming out in the future. So let's go and quickly find the next little piece of gear that's come out. Here we go. This comes out from Pegasus Astro. A lot of you guys will probably already know this brand. It's I think it's a Greek brand. I think their most popular product is probably their power box. So they have this smart power and data box that you put on your telescope. And it just does like power delivery and data delivery. So you can just connect one power cable, one data cable into that box, and then it distributes it all out to all your components on your telescope. I think that's one of the more popular products, and they're now coming out with a flat panel. I mean, we've seen flat panels like this before. It straps to the front of the telescope. You put power to it, or you put a USB into it, and then there's an ASCOM driver, and you can connect to it, and it will flip up when you need to observe, flip down when you don't need to it, and then on the back side, I'm not sure if they have an image of it somewhere. They don't. You can actually see it mounted, so you mount it like that on the front, and then on the side that's facing into the optical tube, there's an LED panel. You turn that on when you need to take flats. You can see there's the PC connection there if you want to control it over the ASCOM. So they came out, I think it's the first they came out with. It is quite large. I thought it was a little cute one because it called it the Neo 120, and I thought, okay, so it's like 120 millimeters across, a rather small one, maybe for small refractor. Until you read the specs down here, it's for a 12-inch telescope. So it is rather large, and I don't know, is that a 12-inch tube? I don't know. Or is that a misprint? I'm not really sure. But yeah, new things coming out from oh wow, I didn't even notice that. It's heavy. Wow, it's almost 3 kilograms. Yeah, that's gonna be a lot. You're probably not gonna put that on a newt. I mean, I guess it's gonna balance out the mirror at the other end. That's quite a lot of weight to put that far away from your rotation axis. Like the torque that's gonna create is noticeable. Okay. Good. Let's move on. More stuff to talk about. Oh yeah, this one. Yes. So, I have not been able to find anything online about it. I saw this and I screenshotted it from a Facebook post from someone who was at a astronomy show, a trade show, where Pulsar Observatory was showing off their little mini dome, clamshell domes. And I know, actually, when I went there in February, they had a trade show in London as well. I went over there and I actually talked with the guys from Pulsar. They mentioned that they were working on something like this. And their deal with this is, if you have a smart telescope, sea stars, dwarfs, minis, or just a normal dwarf, whatever you have, of these smaller, compact, smart telescopes, and you don't want to move it in and out all the time, you can now have a dome. And the idea with these is you can put them on your balcony, and you could just put these out there that don't take up a lot of space, and you put your little telescope inside, and then you have like a tiny, tiny little observatory. I'm not sure if there's gonna be a huge market for it, as these smaller telescopes are rather easy to move in and out. But again, I'm sure that there's gonna be people who want to have a more permanent installation of their smart telescopes. They don't want to necessarily have to like repole align them if you run them with a wedge and run them in wow, what am I saying? Run them in equatorial mode instead of in alt-azimuth mode. Then maybe people would use it. I haven't seen it in person, and again, this is the only thing I've been able to find. And they also say actually here, details and prices not yet available. I checked before this. This is a rather old screenshot. It was from the beginning of the month, but I checked their homepage just before the show, and there's nothing about it on the homepage yet. So we don't know anything about pricing. We don't know anything about like how big it is. You can kind of get a feeling for how big it is from the image. If we zoom in, you can kind of get a feeling for how big it is. And I'm pretty sure it will fit, but again, we don't know like how is the telescope mounted? Is there like a mounting system at the bottom? Is it just a plate it stands on? How does this work? Like, what if you wanted to have the telescope? They show it here standing in azimuth mode. What if you want to go EQ mode on it? Could you do that? Is there room for it? Loads and loads of questions. But again, I kind of like it. I think it's fun with these small miniature domes, and I'll definitely try to keep you guys updated when we get pricing and stuff like that on it. We could take a closer look. But for now, this is all I really have and all I've really seen about it. Cool. Okay. Now, if you watched the show last month, looks like a toilet. Yeah, I can kind of see what you're getting at. I mean, if you look at it there, I can. We gotta be careful not to coin it a toilet dome because poor Pulsar observatory. Yeah, I can see what you're getting at. On the other hand, though, imagine if you could get that as so instead of having a normal, lid on your toilet, you would have a clamshell, so it looks like a small observatory you opened up instead. Okay, sorry. That would be quite funny. Okay, as I said, if you were watching the show last month, I was talking about that was not the right button. That was the right button. I was talking about that we saw in an update from ZWO. Not suitable for drunken star parties, though, exactly. Last month we were talking about we spotted the ASI 4400 MC Pro in a patch update from ZWO that they mentioned in an update for the ASI Air, that there was now support for this camera. There was no information about it, so speculations was running wild, myself included. It's now been announced, and we have some specs, 3,000 US for the camera. And if we run down and look at the specs, we can see them right here. It is full frame as we expected. And of course, it is 44 megapixels, also as expected. 14-bit, and this is the QMC, so this is the color version. I'm expecting that there's probably going to be like next month. I'm probably going to be sitting here talking about the version. I think it's just around the corner, but right now they just have the color variant of it. QE of 80%. Really nice large pixels. 4.4 microns is really nice, and also a very deep full well at almost 75 kilo electrons. So that's really nice, really good full well, so you get a nice large amount of dynamic range, nice large pixels, which you're gonna need, because I think there's a correlation between pixel size and full well depth. I'm not really sure, but I have a gut feeling that those two things, that bigger pixels can hold more stuff, but it might just be me. I haven't actually tested it, but I have a feeling those two things are kind of correlated. But other than that, as you can see here, it is really a deep sky camera, really low FPS. You're not going to be shooting planets with this. This is a deep sky camera, and a rather large one of that. And it has all the usual features you would expect to see in a camera like this. Anti-dew on the front, tech on the back to cool it. This is the usual -30 to -35 compared to ambient. The only problem with this, of course, is, well, you're gonna have a hard time if you run an off-axis guide, and you need to be really careful with what telescope you put this on, because it might very well be that your image circle is not big enough to actually carry this, especially if you run like a field flattener with a reducer in it, because remember, when you put a reducer on it, you also reduce the size of your image circle. So you've got to be careful what you do with this camera when you get up to these kind of sizes. And they do have a comparison. I try to do the same graph here where we kind of see where it kind of fits. And we can see here that it kind of sits there right in between the 2600, which is, again, also a full frame camera, but with more megapixels. So it's smaller individual pixels, so you get higher resolution, but smaller pixels. And now we can actually maybe see, did it show the well depth? Dynamic range. So my theory is not necessarily true, because here we have significantly smaller pixels, and the dynamic range didn't really change much. So my theory was not correct. What are you doing, Bunny? Okay, but that camera is out. Okay, Bunny is being noisy. But there's actually more stuff coming out. There's a lot more stuff coming out from ZWO this month. ZWO has also, click there and there, has also finished their whole air lineup for the 585 series. They've already completed it for the was it 2600. So we already have the ASI 2600 MM and MC Air, and now they also announced the MM, the 585 MM, so the monochrome version of the camera with the Air. And if you're not familiar with the branding here, the Air variant of the cameras means that it has a built-in ASI Air. So these cameras, if we have a picture on the back, that one, here you can see you have the USB ports, and they're actually all USB 2? Really? Oh, okay, that makes sense. I was like, where are you going to plug in the camera? Duh. You're not, that is the camera. So you have 4 USB 2 ports, a USB-C port for communicating with the PC, I presume. You have 2 power output ports, and then a jack down here or a socket down here for your Wi-Fi antenna. So this has a built-in ASI Air, and when we look at it from the front here, you can see there, this is really there, you can see there that you have the main sensor up here, and then of course you have the guide sensor. So you both have an ASI Air, you have the main sensor, and you have a guide, basically a built-in off-axis guide built in the camera. And it's the same with the entire Air lineup of cameras. Now, I've in the past been a little skeptical about the MM Air series because of all these dual cameras where they have built-in off-axis guiders. Because what you would usually do is you would hold on, I actually have a here. Give me a second. There. Good. So usually, right, what you would do is you would take your off-axis guider, and on the off-axis guider, there's this little, can you see it there? There at the top, right there. There's this little prism, and that prism just takes some light, sends it up, and then you put in a, actually have a camera here as well, I'm going to show it. And you put in, here, camera. So camera will then go in here, and that will then siphon off that light from that prism, and you now use your main scope as your, let me turn that in so that doesn't move away. But here's the deal. Usually when you put this on, you would have, if the telescope is out here, then you would have off-axis, so telescope, off-axis guider, filter wheel, and then you would have your camera. Because the important thing is that you don't want to have your off-axis guider on the back side of your filter wheel, because if you put a narrowband filter on this, that narrowband filter is going to remove most of that light that you're going to use in order to guide. And of course, when you have, like we have here, let me just pull that up again. That one. When you have the sensor built into the camera, if you put a narrowband filter on it, you're going to reduce the light input into that a lot. So I've in the past been a little skeptical whether that is actually a good idea. I can see it on the color cameras where you usually don't have like ultra narrowband filters. You can, but you don't necessarily have to. But what people tell me is that it's fine. It works. You can do it. You can put narrowband filters in front of this and it's not going to be an issue. I haven't tried it myself. But yeah, that might just be my opinion. Anyway, let me just get some stats up so we can actually look at this camera here, because they have all the stats listed very, very nicely right here. So, for those who are familiar, of course, with the 585 series of cameras from ZWO, these stats would be very, very familiar to you, because it's the same sensor you get in all the other cameras. now it just has an ASIR slapped on the back. So just ASIR, camera, duct tape, go. Ship it. And you can see the specs here if you are interested. And of course, we can see that the color camera and the mono camera has slightly better QE as we usually get. But the mono camera has a slightly smaller full well depth, so slightly smaller dynamic range. Actually, a lot smaller than you get in some of the other cameras. Okay. Cool. But that means that the whole lineup is pretty much complete. I think the 585 and the I can't remember if it's 24, 2600. The other one they have. I can see it. I'll just go back here. 26, the 2600. I think those two lineups is probably their most popular cameras, where you have the really small sensor on the 585. Have this really small sensor there, and then you have this medium format sensor, not medium format. Wow, that would be massive. You have this crop sensor format here on the 2600, so you have a larger sensor. But again, that also now means, I think do they have it on this page as well? They usually have these graphs where they show the image circle, blah, 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 graphs, image circle graph. There, this one, yes. So here you can see that in order to use, if you just wanted to run the crop sensor, you only need an image circle of just over 26 millimeters. But if you want to make sure that you can actually include the other one, you're going to need a full frame image circle in order to be able to fit that sensor in there. And I've actually I was looking into it. What would you do? And if I were to put it on the telescope back there, I would have to get another flattener, because there's a 0.8x reduction in the field flattener I run on that telescope back there. And while this does actually have a full frame image circle, because I run that reducer, it's only just big enough to fit it here, and I wouldn't have any light for the orb axis. So I have to swap that out if I want to do that. But of course, if I wanted to run an orb axis guide, I would run into the exact same issues, regardless of whether it was built in or not. I would still have to have that larger image circle in order to be able to do that. Anyway, let's move on to, what's the next one? Oh yeah, the silly one. So, last one from ZWO. We now have the C-Star binoculars. And when I first saw this, I was like, okay, so what, like, have they done some like a smart thing? Is this like some AR, like augmented reality binoculars that can like live plate solve or something fancy? No, it's just a pair of binoculars, and it's because they were launching it under the C-Star brand that I was a little confused, because the C-Star brand is usually what they put on all their smart telescopes. So you have the C-Star S30, SS50, and all that. That's at least what I know the C-Star brand for. So when I saw a C-Star binocular, I thought, smart binoculars somehow? But no, they are. You can buy them bundled with the C-Star S30 or S50 if you want them bundled with a smart telescope. But they don't, like, they can't. They're just binoculars. Like that's it. It's just lightweight, small, compact binoculars. It's a really, really weird thing to do. I think it's just so. It's a little off-brand for me. ZWO, for me at least, has been known to make all these like really good cameras and smart telescopes, and all of a sudden they just go like binoculars. It's just, I found it a little weird. I'm not sure it's going to be a popular thing, but it's there. If you want a pair of relatively small, easy to carry binoculars, then you can get them for like 70 US. So there you go. Okay. I think the last thing we need to talk about is what's going on in the night sky the coming month. the main big thing, you know what, let me actually pull up Stellarium. It's a little bit more fun if we can look at it in Stellarium. Then I can also give you guys a little sneak peek of a video I'm working on. Actually, more than working on it, it's done. It's just not been published yet. It's already uploaded to YouTube. It's just not been put public yet. Give me a second just to pull up Stellarium here, so I can just can show you guys what I've been working on. Here we go. Okay, very nice. So here we are in Stellarium, and as you may see, this is not the default landscape, because I've been working on a guide on how to go out with your smartphone, and only your smartphone and free tools. You can go out and you can create landscapes like this. So there, that's my car, and there's my tripod that I was using when I was recording the video, sitting right there with my camera back. And I've made it so that if we fast forward here, look at the landscape as the sun rises. So the landscape also changes between a night and a day. If we just run it backwards slowly here, you can see here. A little faster maybe. There. So notice here how as the sun sets, this goes from this lush green color, it goes darker and it gets this bluish tint. That's also something that I'm doing and I'm going to be showing in the video, so you now can get your exact landscape, which I think is pretty cool. And again, just your smartphone, a free app, and then some free software, and a bit of time, and you're pretty much good to go. And the idea, of course, is you can then put like different locations in if you want to. So here's another one I was doing. This didn't turn out as well. The seam here was not as well seamless as I got it with the other one. So this needs a bit more tweaking, as you can see. But the idea is the same. Car, and you can just basically get the night sky, so you can see exactly what it looks like from your locations. Again, that video is gonna come out in the coming month. I'm not really sure when exactly it's scheduled. But it's coming out here in December, as it's already been uploaded to YouTube. Anyway, what we're talking about was what you can see in the sky this month. If we go and jump, get some time stuff here going. Jump forward to around the 13th, night between the 13th and the 14th. So here we have the biggest meteor shower of the year, right there. Geminids, I'm not sure. It's probably the most active meteor shower of the year. It has an hourly zenith rate of around 120 to 150 meteors per hour. So is that right? Yeah. So that's like 2 to 3 shooting stars per minute, which is very, very active. And as you can see here, it's most active. You can see it for quite a long time. Actually, we can go and you can just quickly see here. If you take your Cosmic Field Guide, which you can buy at deepspacebooks.com together with all my merchandise, shameless self-promotion, and we jump to page 14, there I have a list of all the meteor showers. Can the camera focus, maybe? Oh, it's struggling. Come on. There. And yeah, I've written it down as maximum 120 peak hourly rate. I think I've seen other places they listed at 150, so I'm not really sure. But the cool thing is, of course, that it is most active on this night. You can see it a few nights around it as well, so you don't have to, if there's a cloudy night that night, you can try the night before or night after or 2 nights before, 2 nights after. It's not going to be as active. I mean, you can see here, you can't see anything because I'm on the wrong screen. There you go. You can see right here, it says the current zenith hourly rate is estimated to be 105. at this point in time, which is on the morning on the 14th. But if we just jump forward a day to the morning of the 15th, you can see it's actually more active there. Did I get the date wrong? It seems I did. This one says it's going to be more active up to the 120 I was listing it at on the morning of the 15th. I thought it was most active on the between the 13th and the 14th. Okay, I'm going to have to check up on that. Oh no, current signal rate. Oh, there we go. 150. That's, look at the wrong number. Yeah, no. So, yeah. It is most active. You can see here 42 on the night before, the morning on the 13th. On the 14th, we're up to 100. What part of the night is it going to be most active in then? So it seems like early morning on the 14th is what's going to be the best time of day to observe this. As you can see here, it's going to be in the southwest to west, depending on when you're out. It's going to be very close to Jupiter. So if you're out there, you can probably locate Jupiter. But the other cool thing is here in the morning is that the moon's going to be down. So if you get out early on the 14th, that's probably the best time to get it. Oh, no, it's not going to be down, sorry, there. But the moon is going to be relatively... what's the illumination percentage of the moon this night? I haven't checked that. There's not going to be that much moonlight, and it's in the complete opposite direction from where the meteor shower is from. So that gives us really, really cool observing conditions. So if weather holds, there should be some good chances to go out and get some images of that. That's probably like the thing that's going to happen this month. There's not a whole lot of other things. I think Saturn, the only other thing I noticed was Saturn's rings is pretty much, I think it's this month they're going horizontal. I can't remember. Let's see if we can find Saturn, Venus, Mars. Where did you go, Saturn? There you are. Yeah, they are almost horizontal. I'm pretty sure we can find the date where they're going to be most horizontal. Yeah, that's pretty much here. I should be able to find the date where it... Oh, now that's getting bigger. Okay, it's right around now, as you can see here. As we scroll through it, right here in the beginning of September, it's pretty much as flat as it's going to be. No, stay here. There we go. So if you want that cool shot with Saturn with almost no rings, and maybe if you're lucky, just a bit of shadow from the rings, then right now is the chance to do that. As the thing is, we're moving forward here to the next... need to find Saturn again. Here. As we're moving... What the hell? As we're moving forward, why does it do that? Stay with it. It should be able to stick to it. Here we go. You can see here how it's already like next season when we get into next year, then we already have quite a bit of rings again to see. So now's a good chance if you want to see those edge-on rings with Saturn. Anyway, that was all that I have for you guys this month. Saturn blew my mind the first time I saw it in my telescope. I think that's one of the main reasons I'm here. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got that. You guys can't see it, can you? Let me just get my camera controls up here. I can show it to you. That telescope right there was my first ever telescope. I got that when I was 13, and I was standing at my parents' balcony and saw Saturn for the very first time using that telescope, and it's I think everybody who will remember the first time they see Saturn or Jupiter through a telescope. It's such a special thing, like that. You mean there's nothing between you and it, right? There's just glass and optics, right? Glass and mirrors. That's all there is between you and Saturn, and you can see it. Because you can see it with a camera on a screen, and it's like, yeah, sure. But actually seeing it and knowing there's nothing there other than just you and the telescope is just such an amazing feeling. And I think everybody's tried it. It's just, you never forget that. Okay, we're going to be spoiling another project that I'm working on. It's kind of on the back burner at the moment. Recently, I got this. Film camera, because I had the idea that it could be fun to try and do some astrophotography on film. Again, with these, fancy cameras and everything, I think it could just be fun to just get a roll of film and a camera, slap the thing on a telescope, and then try to. I got a remote release for it as well. So I have like a button, right? You can click the button, and then it takes a picture. And it can also do long exposures with it. I think this would be so cool to try and play around with. Just because you get that kind of same vibe that there's no electronics. This picture has never been inside a computer. You take it, you put it on film, and you put it through chemical baths, and then you have a finished image that's never been digitized. And I think there's something cool about it, and I'm gonna be working on that at some point when time allows. But there's just too many other projects at the moment. It needs to be a winter thing because I want to shoot something like Orion, Pleiades with it, maybe do a few moonshots, but I think like Orion is probably going to be my main target. I want to try to shoot with it, just because I think it could be that could be fun to try. We'll have to see the outcome. Oh, absolutely! I'm gonna be sure to document it. I've actually been talking to a company that's local to me that specializes in like trying to keep the art of like analog photography alive. So they have like a whole lab where they develop and keep the skill of manually developing images like alive. So they make sure there's some people actually knows how to do it. And I've been talking to those guys, and they were open for doing some kind of collaboration. So we can probably go out and actually go through, see the whole process of the imaging being developed, and we can take the entire process from telescope to everything. I think it's going to be super cool. I'm really excited about it, but again, it's just really limited with the number of clear nights that I have to play with. You took a picture of a nebula with your phone, and it was amazing that you can see with just a 3-second exposure. So an analog image would be good. Yeah, absolutely. And again, I can set this to do half an hour, because you can take this thing where you press the button, right? So normally you would press it, and if I want to do like a few seconds exposure, I can of course just keep it down. But what you can also do is you can press it down, and you can turn this little color, and now the thing locks in place, and it keeps the shutter open. Because I mean, this is just, and you turn it again. I think I can't remember. Lock, unlock, there, unlock. All this does is just there's just a thing at the other end, and that thing just presses on the take image button on the camera. It's really a simple thing. And then the strap here is of course so that I can hang this, so that it doesn't hang and pull on the camera, but I can hang it and then carefully just press it down and then leave it, so I don't have to manhandle that too much. That's another project that's future project. It's on my to-do list. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I, again, can't promise when that's going to come out, but it's going to come out at some point. Okay, as I said, that's going to be it for this time. As always, if you want to support the channel, you can do it either by just dropping a like on this video if you enjoyed the live stream. You can subscribe if you want more videos, if you're not already subscribed. And if you really want to support, you can either join as a member of the channel, or you can go to deepspacebooks.com and you can get merchandise like, where's the mug out of frame? There. The mugs, different like mugs I have water bottles, and we also saw the cosmic field guide that I've been plugging as well. This is the main way that I fund this channel and that I keep the economy flowing for this. So go check it out, deepspacebooks.com. Thanks a lot, and clear skies, and I hope you're gonna have some fun.